I've been in the streets and I've been homeless. I've just tell them my story pretty much, and show them that you can get up and get out and do it through this. It's another way. You don't have to be a sports star or a rapper. You could be an artist. Because I think that's something new, and that's really empowering just to see another person that looks like you doing something on that level.
Alejandro, how are we doing today?
¿Qué tal, Matt? Thanks for having me on the podcast once again. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm very excited because we have a very special guest on today. We have Cory Van Lew, who's an incredible young artist he's had a really well-deserved meteoric rise in the NFT space. Whenever I see his art, I immediately know it's him. Striking imagery, a really defined and unique color palette, and some motifs that just really stick with you. I am really excited to have him on the show today, and we'll be able to hear a bit more about what goes into his process.
I'm excited.
Cory, how's it going, man? Good to have you on.
It's going great, bro. Things are moving fast now that I'm fully immersed in the metaverse. So time's moving quick. So lots of things happening.
It's like days feel like like what happens normally in the span of weeks happens in days. What happens in days happens in hours. It feels like February feels like years ago.
Yeah, it's almost like time has changed in a sense. A minute, yeah, like you said, a minute isn't a minute anymore.
Totally, man. Well, big fan of your work. I know it was one of the ones that we posted to the Instagram kind of early on. And, I actually remember, I think I was in a Clubhouse room originally when I became aware of your work. And, I was really struck by just how unique it is. Just some of the colors that you use, these like bright, sort of like joyful colors that are, of course, like the motif of like the blue skin. I'd love to hear a bit about how you sort of found your aesthetic and made the leap into taking traditional materials into the NFT space.
It all started, I was real frustrated with the traditional art world and, me not getting any recognition, and my paintings were a lot darker color-wise. I mean, there were still the blues, there were still the pinks, but they were muted. They're a little darker than they are now. And what happened was I was tired of that, tired of being frustrated. And my brother, who I work with closely, he's 6 years younger than me. Him and I were brainstorming in my studio, which at the time was my mother's garage, was trying to figure out how do I flip the script? Like, how do I give a more positive energy? Like, what's the move? And we both came up with that I needed to put good intentions with my artwork. And when we started looking back at the work that I have previously put out, there was good intentions behind it, but it didn't look like there was good intentions behind it. The way the art, there was like an angry person, you can tell. And so I decided to, paint things that made me happy and use colors that made me happy. And blue, I used it early on in my career as an artist, and it was, I don't know, it shows up a lot in my older works. And I made this painting a long time ago called Blue Faces. And it was just like one face, one head with like 3 different faces attached to it. And it was a blue face. And I told myself back then I was going to make a series of art that was all, blue characters. And we were in the middle of a pandemic it was about this time last year when I, started doing this. I think I needed something happy, something positive. And the colors that I chose, the pink, the blue, the yellow, those were all like, happy, like spring, like light, positive colors. And so that was like the main thing, that they just made me happy. But if you want me to dive a little deeper, the blue is like the soul of us. It's like we all have a soul inside of us, and there's no color to that soul that differs in between us. It's all blue, so there's no skin color that divides us. That was the main thing behind the blue, is that there's no skin color that divides us, and that's our soul that I'm depicting on the canvas. The clothes being pink is like a positive color for me, and there's been scientific studies behind the certain pink that I use. It's called drunk tank pink, and there's a book written about it. And the effects that it has on the human body in a positive way. And so that's why I use the pink that I use, and then the yellow, and then like all the other colors is just like all of them put together is like me singing on the canvas as a musician, like I use them to sing. So that's like me making a music on the canvas. The way that I put it together is like I got the bass, which is like, my teal. I got my, my guitar, which is like my pink. I got my like, yellow drums, I don't know. That's how I look at it.
It is so striking, like
Yeah.
I always say, you're one of those artists that whenever your work crosses my feed, I don't even need to look at the name. I already recognize it as yours. I'd love to hear a bit more too. So like you kind of establish this aesthetic, you're really intentional about what colors and what materials you were using. How did you find your way into the NFT space?
Through Twitter and SoundCloud rappers cover art. I had came across Ferocious, and Ferocious had come across me. I don't know how that went, but we both started following each other because we were doing similar things as artists. I noticed his work and him coming up, and we were selling our artwork through our own websites and putting our own art on our merch and t-shirts and prints and all of that stuff. So we were doing kind of similar things and just kind of inspiring each other. I started to see him sell NFTs, and I was like, I wonder what this is. And then a couple of his collectors started hitting me up and wanting me to get into the space. One of them being DCL blogger Maddie. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he hit me up and said I need to get on Super Rare, and he wanted to buy one of my, or buy some of my artwork as NFTs. And if I would be interested in that. And I was like, yeah, I've been hearing about this, so I might as well jump in if I got, some sales already off the jump. And that's what I did. He helped me get onboarded onto Super Rare. I guess he knew somebody. So I got on Super Rare back in like October. Yeah, I've sold my first 5 pieces to him. And so he got lucky. He got like 5 pieces right off the jump. And then that led to me like meeting Zonted, just meeting other collectors in the space. Just through Maddie and knowing Ferocious. I think that was just seeing us interact online, got a collector's eyes, and that's how I just like dove in from there. At first, I was kind of like iffy about NFTs, so it took me a little bit. But once I hopped on Clubhouse and found the community, I was really hyped on it. And now, I'm fully immersed now. I found my people.
That's so awesome, man. And I'm so happy to hear that you've had such a great success. And it's such a dope story, especially going into the transition that you did, bringing the intentionality behind your artwork and really putting the soul into it. And love the magenta color, like the pink, the science behind the pink and the blue story. That's really awesome. And I love how you got involved and creating serendipity in the internet, right? With that said, like, what advice do you have for artists looking to begin releasing their art as NFT in a meaningful way that doesn't lead to crickets?
You feel your gut, paint from your stomach, don't think too much. Grab the fucking paint and make a mess, man. Like, just start painting. Don't think too much. All your inspiration should be right there, right in front of you. You shouldn't have to think too hard. It's all right there. I like to say that God speaks through me and I'm just a vessel. So I just let God do it. I don't even try. If you try too hard, then you're trying, like you're trying to do something. I just go, just like when you have to vomit and you can't hold it back. I do the same thing with my paint. I just let it come out because I can't hold it back.
I love that you're using God in this sense, right? And because tech and God usually have these two different dichotomies or this tension. What does that intuition look like and feel like to you? What is it? Is it in your stomach? What is it? A sense? Is it a feeling? Is it a spidey sense? What does that look like in your world?
I like to say I get a tingle in the back of my head. I have my hair growing out right now, but I have a tattoo on the back of my head. It's like an eyeball, and it's like right in that right where the eyeball's at. And I feel like when I feel that feeling, it's like a really good massage in the back of my head, right? When you feel these things, when you recognize these moments, and us as artists, we practice this a lot because we're painting and we're doing repetitive things and we're repetitively letting God speak through us. So you have to recognize the feelings that when that is. And for me, the feeling is that tickle on the back of my brain. And that's when God's speaking through me. Is that, I think that was...
That's powerful, bro. I love that you, honestly, as a man of faith myself, man, I love hearing when people speak about God and speaking of themselves as a vessel. What do you think, Maddie?
Yeah, no, and that really ties in nicely to another question I had, which was, I'm always curious to hear artists talk about their creative process. Like, what gets you in the zone? What gets you, like, what gets sort of like your inspiration going? It's always different for artists, and I love to hear those perspectives. So I'd love to hear it in your case.
Been aligning myself with the stars, I like to say. During the winter solstice, I'd like to say I created a lot of my most recent greatest works. That's when I really like figured out my colorway and blue faces and how I was saying what I'm saying on the how to like say what I want to say on the canvas. This past winter solstice, I took some acid, and it was, when all Black people were supposed to get their superpowers, right? And I took acid the same night, and I got my fucking superpowers. And we're seeing it right now. And just more recently, a few days ago, was the first day of spring. So in between, I didn't take any acid. And that's just the second time that I've taken acid in the last, 6 months or whatever. Now I've leveled up again. It took me to another realm of, I feel like I went through a metamorphosis. And I have now, this painting that I'm doing currently for Jake Paul is going to say the most I've ever said on a canvas. Yeah, it's me being Da Vinci. I'm a modern day Da Vinci, and I'm documenting time in my way and in a way that only I can do it. So
I love that, man, and thank you for taking us through there. I think it's super exciting. You're working with Jake Paul. Obviously, will gain a lot of exposure and new eyeballs on your work from that. I'd love to hear a bit about how that all came to be. I know that you've been really active on Clubhouse. That's actually how I discovered your work. I know that you've been in rooms with and getting attention from some of like the heavyweights on that platform, like John Legere, who's been on Blau's work and
my guy.
Yeah. Paolo, obviously, Jake Paul. So I'm just curious to hear a little bit about how the community on Clubhouse has helped amplify your artwork, and then also like how this latest collaboration came to be.
Yeah, so, like I said earlier, I found my people. It's nice to be around a lot of like-minded people and people that are, willing to soak in knowledge. Usually I don't speak much, but lately I've been sharing my message and my process and being more open, and people are willing to listen and soak the knowledge. So I'm willing to share. Usually I don't like to waste my breath on people that don't want to listen. So Clubhouse has given me a place to be open, and I don't mind being open when I get comfortable with when people are, chill and I got my homies. But the big stages really kind of scared me at first. Long story short, an artist by the name of Zoe. Oh man, I just forgot her last name. She's gonna hate me, but Zoe, she introduced Paolo to me because she followed my artwork, and Paolo fell in love with my work and wanted to start, helping me as he does with a lot of women in the space, and with his banana milk crew that he started. And basically what they do is build a golden bridge for people who maybe don't have a voice and give them a platform to have the voice. And that's kind of what happened with me. I spoke up in a room one day. He heard, and a lot of other people heard, and I got put in the right place in a few groups helping out Black artists. That led to, a couple phone calls here and there. And now Paolo is one of my really good friends, and Farouk was even a better friend. And those guys are just really good friends of mine at the end of the day. Fuck anything else. Those guys are just my homies. They want to help me out, and they are in a position to do that. And so whenever I go into Clubhouse rooms, I don't raise my hand. They just bring me up on the stage if they're, moderating the room. One of those times I came in, it was a Jake Paul room, I believe. And he was buying people's artwork or something like that. They wanted to introduce me to him. And Paolo was like, yo, Jake, you need to check out my guy, Cory Van Loo's work. His art's really sick. And he looked at my profile photo and he said, I like your pink jacket. And then, I don't know how long, but maybe a few hours, he DM'd me on Instagram, said, yo, I want to do a, collab, and we should do some work. And then let me hit you up. He called me, we've been talking, and, we came up, we called and talked to each other, 3 or 4 times. And we came up with a dope idea. And then I sent him, drawing, and then a digital drawing, a vector version of what I wanted to create. And then he approved it, he liked it, and then now I'm painting it. So that's where we're at. I guess, a little more on the collab. What really got me, it's Jake Paul. So, there's a lot that comes with that. So me being a black man and him wanting to depict a particular moment where he's defeating a black man, beating down a black man, actually was very, it's tearing for me, it tears me, because, I'm a black man in this community, and I'm really advocating for black people, but I'm also having to depict this moment, but it's so real because that's exactly what we go through. And so why not depict this historical moment that's a light touch of displaying the fucked up shit that's actually going on out in the streets and all of this shit. It's also an enlightening thing because Jake has had to go through so much bullshit himself, and naysayers, and having to grow up on YouTube and not really know what real life is like, and now finding out how to be a man, and he's going through this whole boxing thing and kind of reinventing himself, and wanting to help me out and giving me a platform to do that. And I don't know, this painting's going to say a lot just by that. Just by us working together. I don't even have to do much. So yeah.
It's like the Da Vinci moment.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying I'm playing Da Vinci now, because it's really happening now.
Yeah, man. Corey, I appreciate that, bro, and I love that you're bringing in the race conversation very forward and very presently. I started following you back in November of last year. So I know that you're someone that always likes to give back to the community, to Black artist community specifically. And you're starting to navigate some really dynamic circles in terms of inclusivity. In your opinion, what does the future community look like for empowering Black artists into the NFT space?
It's going to take people like me to show others how to do it. As I continue on, I only hope that what I do inspires other Black artists to continue to empower the community and the people around them. That's mainly what it is. When I got on a stage with Snoop Dogg and the Game on Clubhouse a couple weeks ago, I had got to explain to them what I do in the space when I or sell some NFTs for a substantial amount of money. I give it right back to the community. I go back, buy other artists' work, and that really stuck with Snoop Dogg. He really thought that needs to be heard in our community. People need to know that. I need to say that loud and say it proud when I do that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm very vocal when I'm buying other artists' work. On Twitter, on my Instagram, every time I do, because I know the feeling. I think it's dope when people do the same for me. I know that a retweet could lead to some crazy things. So I don't ever hesitate to hit the retweet button for my homies if they ask for it.
That's pretty awesome, man. I remember that Clubhouse room where Snoop and Game were talking about him being discovered at the gas station, and I feel like Clubhouse is now the gas station, right, for the metaverse. It's yo, I got to discover there. And I love the humility that you bring into these conversations, Corey. You still are very incredibly grounded. I hear you on Clubhouse. I see you on Twitter. I see you on Instagram. What does your legacy look like? Are you concerned with legacy? And if so, what does that look like for you?
I'm creating generational wealth. I want Van Loo to be bigger than Rothschild. So painting is just painting to me right now is simple and easy. Creating artwork is just easy stuff. Creating spreading a message through artwork is easy. I'm diving into architecture and sculpture and philanthropy. So that's a real artist if you can do all of those things too. And obviously if you can draft and draw and paint as Da Vinci, that's cool. But if you can spread a message, I have a theory with my brother. It's called the theory of transmission, and it's basically a Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth, just kind of what we do on the planet, and how we evolve every day, and what we're saying and what we put out there in the world is a transmission, and we get feedback response from the people. So when we're posting on Instagram, those likes, we're trying to get likes and all of this stuff, and that's our feedback response. And when we get the one that we want, we finely tune our transmissions to those likes, that feedback response that we want, and then we evolve, because now we've turned our different things, we've bounced all of our ideas into this finely tuned thing to get from those feedback responses. And that's kind of like how my artwork has really come to what it is, from the theory of transmission. It all started with, my little brother being born. He's 6 years younger than me. I watched him come out of my mother's womb. I was the first one to hold him. My parents weren't around very much when we were kids, so I had to teach him a lot and feed us and do all of these things. And so I got to go through life 6 years before him. And so I got to transmit what I learned those 6 years before him to him. And he kind of got to learn, and we've always been best friends ever since he came out. So now that we're like becoming men, and, and we can do go live our own lives and things, we're still together and working together on our business. And he's like going to school and getting like a scholarly understanding of what it is that I'm figuring out somehow by myself without having to go to school. And it's like I come up with these ideas, or I'm doing like these business strategies, and he knows the terms for them, but I'm just doing them subconsciously. So it's like this theory of transmission thing that we have going on. And I have it on my Instagram, just like a quick dive in. If you go onto my Instagram live feed, there's a intro into that, and I've been updating it, here and there, just to show people I'm actually like doing something, and that's a lot more than just art, something that's going to get like a Nobel Peace Prize or something like that in the future.
That's beautiful, man. And I love hearing how, and getting a better understanding of how those experiences have shaped you and kind of have made you who you are. It makes a lot of sense. I love that you brought up the idea of generational wealth, because I think that's a really important issue, and an area where for the Black community and for other underrepresented communities in this country, there's never been a level playing field. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how this technology might be able to create opportunities to reset that a little bit, because I know, the traditional art world has a representation problem. The crypto world has a representation problem, but and I don't think any of us want to see the NFT space and everything that develops, suffer from the same structural issues that have existed before it. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts there, and then also love to hear what like philanthropy causes speak to you.
So I like to look at this kind of like SoundCloud rap, like how it kind of popped up. It gave a level playing field for everybody to go make music and monetize it and sell their work. I think that's kind of what's happening right now. I think that as long as the Black community knows that you can do that, it's going to be fine. And it's not like we don't have access to this type of technology or anything. We all have phones and computers. And if we don't, I am also working on, helping, communities out that don't have, iPads and computers and stuff. I want to donate money, working with eMoney. I forget how to like pronounce her name, but eMoney on Instagram. She's working on an initiative or a charity type of thing for, or less fortunate communities that don't have, the right technology to create NFTs or anything like that. So providing schools or children with iPads or something like that, just to create digital art. And then I would like to show up to these schools and do talks and just kind of like show them like I'm tatted up, like I'm a street guy. Like I've been, I've been in the streets and I've been homeless. I've, just tell them my story pretty much, and show them that you can get up and get out and do it through this. It's another way. You don't have to be a sports star or a rapper. You could be an artist. Because I think that's something new, and that's really empowering just to see another person that looks like you doing something on that level. We always see like rappers and sports and actors doing it. Like for us as Black people, that's like mainly what we see. And now I feel like it's starting to grow into more things like, models and all this other shit. But I think it's important that we have artists that are young and relevant with the times, and involved with like the now, because it doesn't do us any good to have like these old like Black artists that are successful and not really like fucking like involved with like rap music and shit like that. They're just like still fucking with white people, like I want them to like Kerry James Marshall's dope and shit, but like no shade or anything. I just don't see him as like a influence to me. Like it doesn't, like I don't see him like I don't know, it just doesn't, like rappers influence me more than that guy. So it's like I should have like I don't have an artist like Basquiat's dead. Like that was the one. So like I would like to be somebody like that for the Black community. And as far as philanthropy goes, man, I don't want to do anything that anybody else has done. I want to just do what feels right to me. So I can't really tell you like if there's anything that's really that inspiring to me, but one artist that really inspires me, probably like the biggest inspiration to me, is James Terrell, and he works with light and form and space, and he creates like outdoor spaces, public spaces that melt your mind. It's kind of like put you in a different realm, and I would like to do that and create like free artworks, places for you to take you in another realm, and that being like a place to somehow generate positivity for people. It's a place where you go and you feel happy, and it's just like an automatic happy zone. Like you go there and you feel enlightened and empowered, and that be like a way of being philanthropic.
Dude, that's incredibly empowering to hear you speak with such conviction around the future that you want to see created and making waves for others to follow. That's really important, and I love that you're incredibly real around representation and speaking to your tattoos and making sure you speak to the audience. I love that you have a dog whistle of a voice, right? It's kind of like the people who need to listen to your message will hear it and they'll follow. In that light, man, I know philanthropy in the future is really important for you because you're shaping it right now. But in your opinion, what does the future of NFTs look like, and what do you have coming up?
I think the future of NFTs similar to Ready Player One kind of vibes, just because like that's just like what we've seen. It's hard to tell. I feel like it's just going to get accepted. Everybody's going to have it. We're going to be able to, walk down the streets, and there's going to be like ads for NFTs or something like that. I mean, come on, Taco Bell is dropping NFTs. All these big, huge, companies are getting into it. And I don't see that not happening. Of course, it's going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen. And that's only going to mean that this is going to evolve into something even more than we can understand. So, I think something similar to, Ready Player One kind of thing, where it's everywhere. We walk around with, I had to get an Oculus because I wanted to see what it was like to experience this stuff in VR. And it's incredible. And for this to be like the very beginning for VR, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait till like Apple and everybody gets into this. It's going to be incredible. So in that sense, I think like the VR, AR, immersing real world with the metaverse is going to be where NFTs is going. That's going to be like the starting link to everything. Oh yeah, what do I have coming up next? So we spoke on the Jake Paul thing. Jake Paul's, dope. We're going to do, I don't know how much I can speak on it, but, it's going to be cool. It's for the people. It's really for the people. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the community. It's not going to be no cash grab bullshit. So, that's a fact. I probably won't be making much money. I really don't care for the money. This is all for like just this moment I'm depicting in time. It's going to be fucking epic. And nobody can get the fucking painting because it's going to go on his wall. And the only way you can enjoy that artwork is if you buy that NFT. So possibly I have some big things. I can't really say too much. I don't want to say too much just in case. But, like I had a big toy company hit me up that they deal with a lot of toys that we've all played with as kids. So I'll be doing some cool things with them, it sounds like. Creating NFTs and maybe some product with them, splashing my colorway, the pink and blue and yellows on everything is what's going to happen. So anytime that you see that colorway, just know it's Cory Van Lew, and I'm just going to start splashing that everywhere. And you're going to see it in hotels, you're going to see it in just everywhere you look, and that's just going to remind you of me and happy and smiles and, smoking weed.
Man, I already do. Like it already does when I see it in my feed. But I think I speak for both of us. We are very excited to see you in the metaverse as well.
All right.
So, man, it's been great chatting with you. Really great to get to know a bit more behind the story behind the artistry, and can't wait to see what you do next. Really excited for you.
All right, guys. Yeah. It's a great time to be alive. Like I said earlier, I'm aligning myself with the stars, and
Amen.
I don't believe in coincidences anymore because a lot of things have been happening that I've called in the past, and just keep watching. You're gonna see that I'm just one of those people of time that is like a god amongst us. So.
Let's go. Thanks for being here, Cory.
We will certainly be watching.
Y'all.
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all.
Alejandro, that was quite the conversation. What really stood out to me from talking to Cory was just how dedicated he is to championing diversity in this community, to ensuring that the promise of this technology does not pass anyone by. He's got an incredible amount of confidence in his own creative vision. And it was an electric conversation from start to finish. What stood out to you?
Matt, you're absolutely right. It was an electrifying conversation. I think the best thing that stood out for me was his marriage of faith and confidence, like how he brings his faith and how openly he speaks with and about God was really powerful to see, especially in an artist that's based on technology. That was really, really awesome. And just like his love for the Medici family and how he wants to bring that Renaissance bit back to the current system. And I think I love that. And believe it or not, I have faith that he's going to accomplish that.
I wouldn't bet against Corey Van Loo.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. Well, thank you everyone for listening. NFT Now podcast. Catch us every Wednesday. And be sure to check out our newsletter. Go to nftnow.co and sign up there. We always got some great analysis and insights there. So until next time.